Welcome back to Spring One, our beginner spring track. We've had a great day so far. We can't wait for this next presentation, chock full of so many great people going to talk to you about accelerating Spring apps to the cloud at scale. And we're discussing this with Azure Spring Cloud customers. So you're going to be hearing it from the customers themselves. This is incredible. We have Adib, Saikali, and Asir, Selvasingh, Armando Guzman, Jonathan Jones, and Peter Verstraete, all going to talk to you. So I don't want to take up any more time. Take it away, gentlemen. Enjoy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Adib Saikali. I'm a principal platform architect with VMware, came through the Pivotal acquisition. I'm super excited to have all these wonderful customers that are huge fans of Spring and Azure.
Hi, I'm Asir. I'm on point for everything developers need to build, migrate, and scale Java applications on Azure. I started Java in 1995 with JDK1 and have been working with Java ever since. Azure Spring Cloud is a fully managed service for Spring Boot apps that lets you focus on building and running the apps that run your business without the hassle of managing any infrastructure. You simply deploy your jars or code, and Azure Spring Cloud will automatically wire your apps with Spring Service Runtime. Now, once deployed, you can easily monitor application performance, fix errors, and rapidly improve applications. It's integrated into Azure's ecosystem, and it is enterprise ready. Today, this morning, Microsoft and VMware announced the general availability of the service. A little bit of details. The big rectangle that you see here is Azure Spring Cloud. It's built on Kubernetes. Your apps are running in one of the two dedicated Kubernetes clusters in each service. Your apps can interact with any Azure service or external service. Now for the logs, metrics, alerts, they are all available through Azure Monitor. You can secure your apps using Azure Active Directory, and you can automate your deployments using your favorite tools. Net, it's an easy way to get started, focus on your business objectives, and everything else is taken care of for you in cloud.
And it's important to know that this is like a joint engineering effort between Microsoft and VMware. So you're going to get the best possible experience for your applications.
Jonathan, you love simple architecture and incremental deployments. So tell us how you rapidly deploy Spring Boot apps to production.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I work as the technical lead in group finance IT at Swiss Re. We are currently moving to Microsoft Azure by following a strangler-based approach. So rather than a big bang at the end of a multi-year project, we deliver small increments of functionality that gradually replace our existing systems. Azure Spring Cloud arrived at the right time, and it fitted our strategy to concentrate on more abstracted infrastructure. It hosts our mini-services, which allow the definition and execution of rules, management of data models, and validation of data. After an initial investment to get the Spring Cloud Gateway wired up, we have a landing zone. Now, other applications can be deployed and monitored with very little overhead. As you can see from the architecture overview, we have, at least for the Spring Boot applications, a simple architecture. That's what we were aiming for.
Armando, you keep telling us no to Kubernetes, and you are on fast track, very aggressive about deploying Spring Boot apps to production. Tell us how you advanced to production.
Yes, thank you, Asir. Yes, I want our developers to focus on apps, not Kubernetes. Hello, everyone. My name is Armando Guzman. I'm a principal software engineer at Raley's. Raley's is a Northern California and Northern Nevada grocery chain. Raley's has had an e-commerce site with in-store pickup for approximately 10 years. We currently use Azure as our primary cloud technology partner. Our architecture is a mix of cloud and distributed applications at each of our over 130 stores. Our digital presence in Azure starts with Azure API Manager, which connects to Azure Application Gateway to access web services in our VNet running on Azure Spring Cloud. Applications in Azure Spring Cloud connect to Postgres databases and on-premise systems at each of our stores.
Peter, you have a fancy job title, Java Software Crafter. That's really fancy. Tell us about your journey to Azure and how you are migrating apps to Azure Spring Cloud.
Right. Hi, everybody. My name is Peter Verstraete, and I'm a Java software crafter working at a company called Continuum. And at the moment, I'm on assignment at Liantis, a leading integrated HR services provider on the Belgian market. And at Liantis, I'm the lead developer of a team that has to deliver a brand new application ready to be hosted at a cloud service provider. The application exists of several Spring Boot services and an Angular front end. Also note the connectivity to existing services and legacy systems on-premise, both synchronous and asynchronous. The application currently is running on our on-premise Spring Cloud setup. However, major peaks in usage can be expected, so we require a platform that allows for dynamic scaling, which is a challenge for our current platform. As Azure is known and in use in our IT organization, we have decided to use the Azure Spring Cloud offering as the way to go for this application. Apart from Azure Spring Cloud, the most important other Azure services that we use are Azure SQL Server, an application gateway to direct the traffic to the backend services and keep them safe. Also Key Vault for storing secrets. And for the connectivity to our on-premise services and legacy systems, we depend on the VNet integration, which was recently added to the Azure Spring Cloud offering.
Awesome. This is like such wonderful use of Spring and Azure. One of the things that I'm always wondering about with all of these massive number of tools that are out there, tell us a little bit about your workflow and how are you actually deploying stuff, how often you're deploying stuff to production?
All of our Java developers work with IntelliJ. Our Angular developers mainly use VS Code. And we use Azure DevOps a lot. So all of our Git repositories, work items, and pipelines are hosted there. We still build our software using Maven. In Azure DevOps, we use Azure pipelines. So maybe regrettably, we have lots of YAML. We separate continuous integration and deployment into separate pipelines. So all the tests are executed via the CI pipeline, and the artifact it builds is deployed automatically to our development subscription. Automated testing is extremely important to us. We practice test-first development, and all pull request approvers look for good tests with good assertions. With Spring Boot, we have an excellent framework that supports this strategy, and of course, we're productive thanks to having a lot of very experienced and capable developers. Our infrastructure is deployed via the Terraform task in Azure DevOps. We were happy that a provider was available early for Azure Spring Cloud.
That sounds very similar to Raley's. Raley's uses Jira for agile planning, Terraform for infrastructure as code, IntelliJ as an IDE, Azure DevOps for source control, and CI/CD. Our Java applications are built using Maven and stored in Azure artifacts. Our pipelines are a mixture of classic and YAML pipelines, but we are migrating all builds to be YAML-based. We are also investigating migrating from classic releases to YAML in Azure DevOps. Developers can deploy to our development environment from topic branches. Deployments to our staging environment are automatic and triggered by a pull request merging to master. Deployments to production are also done with pipelines, but are triggered by a product owner approving the release. Our infrastructure is deployed using Terraform in Azure DevOps pipelines, and we rely on the Azure providers. We have separate repos for Terraform modules we want to reuse and separate pipelines for each logical resource in Azure. For example, we have a pipeline each for API Manager, Application Gateway, and Azure Spring Cloud. Raley's is an Azure shop, and we continue to find that Azure meets all of our infrastructure and development needs.
At Liantis, we have a mature software factory in place that is used by more than 15 agile development teams with the usual tools, IntelliJ for both Java and Angular development, Maven as a build tool, Bitbucket as our version control system. We have a Jenkins server with CI jobs and custom jobs to deploy to certain environments. Maintaining Jenkins jobs can be a nuisance, but with an in-house automation tool to generate and manage those jobs, that nuisance has been taken away. Also, SonarQube and Nexus are in place. Integration between Jira, Bitbucket, and Jenkins is set up, which smoothens the agile way of working within the teams. The release of a microservice to production is the responsibility of the entire agile team. And in fact, with the help of the Jenkins jobs provided, some of the teams deploy to production at the end of each iteration. This has also become common practice in our team. Extending our software factory to tap into Azure ecosystem proves to be easy, as Azure provides the building blocks necessary to enhance our current Jenkins pipeline. To get familiar with those building blocks, one of our more ops-oriented colleagues has implemented infrastructure as code pipelines in Jenkins as a proof of concept.
Wow. It's like a microcosm here. I heard IntelliJ, Maven, Azure DevOps, Bitbucket, SonarQube, Nexus, Jira, Azure Pipelines, Jenkins, and Terraform. Great that you represent the diversity of all the tools used by Java developers at large. So with so many things in play, when you're running these apps and systems in cloud, how do you keep your end users happy and achieve service level objectives? How do you fix your app and systems issues? Let's start with Peter.
Well, as said previously, having the possibility to dynamically scale up or scale down services when needed is a very important prerequisite for the application that we are currently developing. This is of utmost importance to keep our end users happy. Still in preview, Azure Spring Cloud covers this by providing the Autoscaling in-out feature. And with the services already migrated, we've been able to experimenting successfully with this feature by performing several load tests and using several scenarios. When it comes to investigating issues, what is appealing is that everything you need is available through the Azure portal, such as the distributed tracing with application map as a starting point, the possibility to drill down to transaction details, easy access to logs, or monitoring performance of services using the captured metrics. And from a developer's perspective, the integration of log streaming into the Azure Toolkit for IntelliJ is very helpful during functional testing of deployed services. And currently, we are further looking into the possibilities of alerts and custom dashboards.
Yeah, especially during financial closing periods, it's important we run a stable, accurate, and performance service. We expose Spring Boot actuator endpoints on all of our services. These are automatically monitored, and any failures raise tickets in our incident management system. The application map feature of Application Insights visualizes our distributed tracing. It gives a mostly clear picture of how our applications are working with each other. We always want to get more insights, so we're looking forward to the Azure Spring Cloud team implementing the latest version of the Insights Java agent. This would give telemetry on the JDBC calls too. Recently, we started to integrate the platform's horizontal autoscaler. Some of our services during financial closing periods get particularly busy. The ability to adjust the number of instances based on metrics like heap size, number of requests, should enable us to meet peak demand without manual work or over-provisioning of resources. We use the log stream feature of Azure Spring Cloud a lot in development environments, and it's good to be able to tail or follow our logs. I guess ultimately we keep our end users happy by running a reliable and performant system, but also by providing an environment where we gain the business's trust to allow a regular deployment of features which work as intended.
Again, very, very similar to Raley's. As part of the Unified Commerce team, we are responsible for enrollment in our loyalty program, order processing, personalized offers. All of these services must remain stable and online 24 hours a day. It's amazing how many customers shop for groceries in the middle of the night. We also have reoccurring events product offers, $5 Mondays. These events drive customers to our site on a regular basis, resulting in predictable peaks. These known events are monitored closely, and we use Azure Monitor to send alerts whenever thresholds are exceeded. Currently, we ensure enough headroom is always available to handle our peaks, but we are investigating Azure Spring Cloud autoscaling and moving to Application Gateway 2.0 that also supports autoscaling. Our developers are very happy with log stream and log aggregation in Azure Spring Cloud to help debug and pinpoint problems quickly. All defect fixes must be peer-reviewed using pull requests, deployed to our staging environment, and communicated before deploying to production. Azure Spring Cloud has allowed Raley's to quickly develop and deploy new apps while exceeding customer and developer expectations.
Awesome. I mean, I think in my world, with all the customers I talk to, there's always two things that are always on top of their mind. Number one is making their customers happy, and number two is making sure that their systems are secure. Can you tell us a little bit about how you handle security in Azure Spring Cloud? Maybe we'll start with Armando.
Yes, thank you. A major component of security for Raley's involves protecting the network and having a zero trust network. Azure Spring Cloud supports deploying to private VNets, allowing Raley's to utilize Azure API Manager and Azure Application Gateway to protect our services from outside and inside the network. Azure Spring Cloud also natively supports Azure Key Vault. Raley's was able to move application secrets to Azure Key Vault. And after adopting Azure Key Vault for our Spring applications, we also migrated our Azure DevOps pipeline secrets to Azure Key Vault. Azure Spring Cloud also supports Spring Configuration Server, allowing us to keep our configuration in Git repos and update configuration using pull requests and Azure pipelines. Azure Spring Cloud allows us to meet and improve our security posture while providing peace of mind that our services are secure.
Right. Essential features and services like private VNet and application gateway were just mentioned by Armando. In addition to that, when it comes to identity and access management, Liantis has a solution in place based on one of the leading IAM providers. With a custom in-house Spring Boot starter, integrating the solution with Spring Security is a smooth process. We use a starter in the application we are developing, and it works perfectly in the services already deployed in Azure Spring Cloud. For now, secrets are stored in configuration, and although they are protected by encryption, we decided to move our secrets to Azure Key Vault. This makes the management of the secrets and the keys much easier. At Liantis, we have the notion of a company-wide and component-specific secrets. We decided to store the different kind of secrets in separate Azure Key Vaults, and we were considering the development of a starter that allows a Spring Boot component to load secrets from multiple Key Vaults. However, recently, Microsoft released a new version of its own Key Vault Spring Boot starter, which actually supports such an approach, and that was a pleasant surprise.
Yes, Swiss Re are following the CSA CCM, that's the Cloud Security Alliance Cloud Controls Matrix. So choices we make have to be compatible with that. All of our Spring Boot applications are checked for CVs, and we simply can't deploy the software should vulnerabilities be present. We have automated smoke tests which check that key aspects of our security policy have not been mutated by a new deployment. By using a path like Azure Spring Cloud, we lower our attack surface by delegating activities like network management and compute management to Microsoft. The less moving parts we have to configure and maintain, the better. This is demonstrated further by Microsoft taking responsibility for patching the Java versions and exposing a fine-grained permission model. The system assigned managed identity Azure Spring Cloud provides to each application is used to bootstrap access to Azure Key Vaults, access Microsoft Graph, and authenticate to our static content in Azure Storage. Finally, it's important we minimize the exposure of our applications. So all the backend services run on private IP addresses. All ingress comes through our Spring Cloud Gateway application, which is shielded by Cloudflare, which gives us capabilities like a web application firewall.
Whenever I talk to customers, they always tell us about how security is a challenge. Zero trust model is all complicated. But clearly, listening to you all, you have built systems in a way that are secure and provide you with a peace of mind. Peter, great that you like the new version of the Spring Boot Keyword Starter. We will look forward to hear more on that from you as we talk more. Now, as you move to the cloud, right? There are so many options for you. You have infrastructure, virtual machines, containers, platform as services, and so on. What does cloud native software development mean to you? And what advice do you have for Spring developers considering cloud? Let's start with Jonathan.
Yeah, firstly, for me, cloud native doesn't necessarily mean microservices. Our teams are building services that are decomposed to a level which makes sense to us. We want to take advantage of the public cloud, but we want to maximize the time we spend delivering business value through software. Cloud native ultimately has to provide tangible results which our business sponsors recognize. We want Azure to provide platforms for us, so Azure Spring Cloud helps, as it takes away implementation and management effort, which is not our core competency. In terms of what we do, we try and give our product teams autonomy and ownership. Self-service is a critical factor. We have to be able to make progress without waiting for service requests and long fulfillment chains. We try to remove as much unnecessary friction as possible from the development process. We have no magic. By this, I mean everything we create and deploy must have a representation in Git. We strive for all our services to expose clean and consistent APIs. We never compromise on security. We create a baseline, we maintain it, we try and improve it over time. And we automate the monitoring of our software as much as possible, and we try and automate the response to that monitoring as much as possible. I think one piece of advice that has worked well for us, whether you target the cloud or not, is to get the basics right. Start off from day one doing all the right things. Everything in version control, automated tests, automated builds, and automated deployments.
I couldn't agree more, Jonathan. Those are all very good advice. Cloud native to me means creating applications that take advantage of cloud services. Cloud native software development must facilitate rapid development, CI/CD, and autoscaling, to name a few key features. Cloud native software development allows developers to focus on the application logic, innovate, and quickly bring value to the business team. Azure Spring Cloud supports all these features while eliminating the need to spend infrastructure and development resources deploying, configuring, and testing to ensure features are set up correctly. Adopting Azure Spring Cloud has made our developers more productive, allowed them to focus on the application and business logic without needing to worry about the underlying infrastructure, all while adding in-demand technologies and skills to their resumes, making them very happy. Adopting Azure Spring Cloud shifts the management of Kubernetes, OS patches, and updates to the experts at Azure, making our development and business teams more productive. I think that's the single biggest piece of advice that I can give.
I heard Jonathan mention a self-service platform that teams can use to quickly get what they need during development. At Liantis, we started thinking in that same direction. The Spring Framework, together with Spring Boot and Spring Cloud, help to improve the microservice development process. Different kind of boilerplate aspects are taken care of, and the frameworks help developers to use architectural principles, design patterns, enterprise integration patterns, or distributed system patterns more easily. However, when going cloud native, a supporting platform or ecosystem with capabilities such as DevOps pipelines, centralized logging and monitoring, security, service discovery, centralized configuration, scaling, and so on is an absolute must. First of all, to streamline the development process, and also to act as the hosting platform for the developed microservices. By adding Azure and Azure Spring Cloud to that Spring trio, you remove a major burden from your IT organization in setting up and maintaining such a supporting ecosystem. And once in place, it allows our agile teams to focus much more on producing business value and functionality, and doing so with less or even no worries at all.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing those valuable tips. To summarize what we heard, first, Day one, do all the right things. Second, use cloud native framework trio, Spring Boot, and Spring Cloud for enhanced developer productivity. And third, take advantage of cloud services, particularly platform services like Azure Spring Cloud, without worrying about the underlying infrastructure. So on behalf of Adib and myself, thank you, Jonathan, Armando, and Peter for joining us and sharing all your experiences, insights, and wisdom. It's very inspiring to hear your stories to production and how you have navigated through tooling, automation, security, service level objectives, and leverage cloud native solutions. Now, everyone on the Zoom line today, everyone on the call today, thank you for joining us today. Everyone can build cloud native solutions today and advance them to production. We love to hear how you are building impactful solutions using Azure Spring Cloud. Now, you can get started today. Quick start that you see on the screen is a good start. You can also use a self-paced workshop. It's on GitHub. We also have migration guides for you. And let us know how you are building impactful solutions. Thank you again for joining us. And tomorrow, we have two more sessions on Spring Boot on Azure. One is in the morning and one is in the afternoon, so don't miss. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for everything.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. That was incredible. Again, it's so helpful to hear real stories from real customers and what they're using out there. So this is great. And I hope all of you learned so much from that. Again, if you're missing any of the tracks that you come in halfway in on, or you want to see, but there are too many at the same time, all of these are being recorded. All of these will be posted online. So rest not, you can catch up on all the amazing tracks that we have here at Spring One. We also have one last presentation going to happen here in another 5 minutes on this channel. It's going to be great. We have Daniel Makusa coming in. And so stick around and we'll see you in a few minutes.